Hello, everybody, and thank you again for watching Outlaw Sports Network. Today it's just me and Cody over there. We're about 28 minutes as of right now from the start of the Stanley Cup Finals. So we're going to make this quick. Two teams involved. The Vegas Golden Knights in their first ever season in the NHL, and the Washington Capitals. So first, I'll let the Capitals fan over there just tell us how it feels to be, in the Stanley Cup. I mean, being a Bruins fan, I've been there twice, won it once. So I mean, I understand the feeling, but as someone who's been a fan of DC sports other than the Nationals, you haven't had much experience at this. So just explain the emotions going on in your head right now.
But to be honest with you, the nerves are a little bit there. And it's a lot of excitement. I really only had this experience in a non-motorsports way. I've had my teams in the playoffs plenty of times. The Capitals made it too many times. The Braves have made it here and there. Clemson's been in the college football playoff. So I'm used to the playoff feeling. I've only seen really my team in 2 championship games, and that's both Clemson. Of course, losing one national championship and winning one. If you want to count Coastal Carolina winning the College Baseball World Series, that was pretty cool. I had a pretty nice reaction to that, but I mean, you were there when Clemson won the national championship with me, and that was a pretty intense game and finish. And I think all the frustration of my team just not winning a championship finally was kind of let out and stuff like that. So I was honestly, I was really happy that we made it to the finals and that we got over this just giant curse that we've been on for the past 15, 20 years. And at the same time, though, I as soon as we won the game 4-0, I was like, man, all right, this is exciting. I'm happy. But I almost feel like I'm on the team because literally as soon as we won it, I was like, this is awesome. Still got the biggest test in front of us. So I got 4 more to go. So while it's a great accomplishment and it's just great to finally have a DC sports team other than the Nationals make it to a championship round. I know that championships usually matter to people. So this could be this could be the greatest moment in DC history since 1992 when the Redskins won the Super Bowl, or this is going to be yet another heartbreak that us DC fans are more familiar with. But I went from saying, well, if we, I was expecting an early round exit just like every year because that's just what we're accustomed to. And I know I need to believe in my team more and stuff like that. But when you're used to it, if you prepare yourself mentally of it happening, you don't feel as heartbroken. So when we finally beat Pittsburgh in overtime, it was the most rejoiceful feeling in the world. And now I'm no longer on the, well, if they lose, I'm going to be so upset and pissed off at them that I'm going to continue, my yearly thing of selling Capital stuff. It's more of I'm really proud of this team because of the very low expectations we had coming into the season. And so if we lose, even if we get swept, it would suck. But at the same time, it's like, this has been a hell of a season. So that's how I'm kind of digesting all this.
So we can look into, I guess, each series real quick. For the Capitals leading up to this, Columbus struggled the first 2. But I think game 3, and I think you won the next 4 after that.
Did a reverse sweep. We basically won 4 straight.
So I think, just the nerves of the playoffs. I mean, Columbus is always one of those hard teams. Any team Tortorella coaches is because he's sort of an evil genius when it comes to sort of mind tricks.
I love Tortorella as a coach, and not a lot of people do. I love the way he coaches. Yeah, he can be a dick, and he can be that hard-ass coach. But, man, if he was on my team as a coach, I'm feeling good about it.
Yeah. Then you went to Pittsburgh, which everyone sort of handed that series to Pittsburgh, I think, from the start. But I think there were a few people like myself who were like, well, if the Capitals can get through, if they can get it to 5 or 6, they can win it. I don't think Murray was all that prepared. The defense for Pittsburgh wasn't as good as it's been the last 2 years they've won the Cup. And granted, Crosby and Malkin, they did what they had to do. Their third piece in Kessel, I don't think he showed up at all in the playoffs, all that much. So, I mean, that went 7, right? Or 6?
6. It went 6.
And then came the Lightning, which I thought the Lightning would do exactly what they did. They were a tough team. You can beat them the first 2, but they don't like getting destroyed. They come back with a vengeance after losing 6-2. As a Bruins fan, I know about that. I know that feeling, and I think Cody got a little nervous because me and him were talking about, it's going to happen again. And that Game 7 was probably one of the best games I think the playoffs have had this year. Not Game 7, Game 6. Game 6 was good. 7, kind of just blew them out. But,
yeah, going into the Columbus series, like I said, I was already mentally prepared myself for an early exit, and DC Sports likes to play with your emotions a lot. So I was already saying, well, this is a team that hasn't won a playoff series in their history. We're the team to do it because that's just DC Sports. That's just the Capitals. So I was like, as soon as we were down 2-0, and then I'm going to get ridiculed by the Capitals fans, and I mean, this is just what I did because I was already mentally preparing myself. After we lost Game 2, I didn't watch another game for the rest of the series until Game 6, because I was like, well, if I don't watch it, then I'm already kind of, it is what it is, whatever. And you win Game 3 in double overtime, win Game 4 by 3 goals, and then you go to Game 5 in Washington. And I was like, well, can we just win 1 on home? And we'll get to that in just a second about home ice advantage. But you win Game 5 on home ice in overtime, and then it's like, okay, we're up 3-2. Can we actually just finish them off? And Game 6 comes, and up until the third period, it was a close game, and then we just kind of blew it open. And that kind of got me a little bit of attention of, okay, well, this team can finish off an opponent when they need to. So that got me a little bit confident, but I was like, listen, it's great. We beat Columbus in 6. They were not a pushover. It wasn't like I was expecting us to sweep them or go to 5. I expected 7, and I was like, well, it is what it is. But we got Pittsburgh. Don't get your hope ups, guys. And went to Pittsburgh, and we faced Pittsburgh in Game 1. We were up 2-0 going to the third period, and they scored 3 straight. And I was like, here we go. This is exactly how it happens. And came back and won Game 2, go to Game 3, and I believe got a late goal. Yeah, got a late goal from Ovechkin with a minute to go. Go up to the series 2-1. I was like, man, if we can get another one in Pittsburgh and go 3-1, that'd be great. And we didn't. Lost Game 4, so as expected, I knew it was going to be a long series with us in Pittsburgh. It usually is. There's always battles between us. Winning Game 5 at home, I think, really brought so much momentum to this team because it was a tight, close game in Game 5, and Ovechkin once again made a great, basically game-winning setup, and he set up a Verona for the game winner for Game 5, and we won 6-3, but it was really more like 4-3 because we got 2 empty netters. And then we go to Game 6. I'm like, yep, I'm expecting us to lose. I'm expecting this to go to 7. Somehow, some way, this is going to be. It's bad that I keep continuously creeping doubt in my mind, but it's just because of what's been happening in the past. And when Kuznetsov got that game-winning goal, I'm surprised people in DC didn't hear me screaming and cheering, because I was compulsively just going crazy, because we finally got over the second round hump, got over the Pittsburgh hump. I was like, oh my God, this is great. And every round of the series, we've basically conquered our demons. In round 1, it was John Tortorella, who coached the Rangers for so long, that was a thorn in our side. Round 2 was Pittsburgh. And then we get to the third round with Tampa Bay. I hadn't beat him in 2 playoff series. That really, to me, wasn't the curse. I think I guess maybe it was 2 things, maybe that, but definitely because there were so many former Rangers on that team that a lot of us fans, Capitals fans, were calling the Tampa Bay Rangers, because they had so many pieces that we had faced in the Rangers previously that were thrown to our side. So, which is kind of odd if you think about it. Now that I talk about it, you have Tortorella, Rangers affiliate, something we had to get over. Round 2, you just had Pittsburgh in general. Round 3, you have Rangers affiliates, and now Stanley Cup final, you have the biggest piece of the Pittsburgh system that we had that has been a thorn in our side in Fleury. So it's been Tampa, Pittsburgh affiliates. So it's kind of crazy how that worked out. But I'm going to the Tampa Bay series. I was already like, you know what, if we lose, it'll suck. But I'm really just glad that we got out of the second round. And when we won the first 2 games at home, I wasn't thinking of a sweep. Automatically, I was like, if we can just get 1 out of 2 at home and go up at 3-1 into game 5, that'd be great. And lost 2 straight at home. And that's when I started creeping in my mind of the Boston series. I'm like, oh, they just wanted to wait an extra game just to do this. And went up 3-2 at home. And I was like, well, I'll watch game 6. Either they put me out of my misery or they'll surprise me. And this team has been resilient all year long. They went into game 6 and had just the most dominating game that I've ever seen this team play, just from a checking standpoint, defensive standpoint, just squeezing the life out of them, and played like literally every shift was their last, and put up a great game 6. Went to game 7, where Tampa Bay, I think, outplayed us for the most part, and the hockey gods gave us our moments. And there was probably 3 goals that Tampa probably should have had, and it could have been either 3-3 or 3-2 them. And ended up, Holtby got back-to-back shutouts. Lightning couldn't score for 2 straight games, almost 3 straight games. And here we are in the finals.
And then the Capitals, I think most of the time in the playoffs, they've been that underdog. I don't like the underdog thing, because Philly should have ruined that for me. Teams being considered underdogs. But in the same way, Philly was the 1 seed, as you guys are 1 seed, but you're still considered Vegas, I think, or what, like, favorites to win by, like, a long shot for Washington.
We were favorites in the Columbus series, and then every series after that, we've been underdogs. Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, and now definitely the Golden Knights, which is funny because after game 2 of Tampa Bay, Vegas had us as the top odds-on favorite to win the Cup.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we lost 2 straight, then it was either Vegas, Winnipeg, or Tampa Bay, and we were the lowest out of the 4. And so I was, I'm okay with playing the underdog. I think it fires this team up, and it creates that resiliency of label us what you want, but we're going to go out there, we're going to play as hard as we can. So, underdog it is.
And then we sort of get to the other team, the Golden Knights, who they've had a good season, and of course, the story they're going to paint is how resilient the city is that they did for Houston when the Astros won, and the Patriots and the Red Sox and the Bruins in 2013 when we went. So I think we went. Every sports team but the Celtics went to the finals in 2013.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was a shortened season, and the Bruins won. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, because the Blackhawks.
Wow.
But
I was saying, the Bruins won that year though.
And It's all right. So Vegas, I think. So they have that story there of them over the city overcoming a lot. It's being their first season. Most of the players last year were third or fourth liners, if not in the AHL. And they came out and won the Pacific and now won the Western Conference. Is this a surprise to you? Did you see Vegas actually making it into the Stanley Cup?
Not at all. No, I wouldn't have. I honestly, I mean, this was obviously, and anybody will tell you that they're the best expansion team on paper.
Yeah.
Rules, no rules, whatever. It is what it is, and they got a great end of their deals and created the best expansion team, honestly, possible. I don't think you could have picked any better players that they chose in the expansion draft. So on paper, while I didn't think they were going to be a playoff team, I thought they could surprise and maybe be a fourth place team in the Pacific or something like that, be close on the playoff. But man, they came out guns a-blazing. A really bad analogy for that city. That was a really bad pun there. Came out strong and rode that wave. Really, I mean, I haven't paid attention to their regular season as much as maybe some of the other analysis are, but I don't really think they had much of a downward blimp in the regular season. Maybe they've lost a couple games in a row, but I mean they were on the up and up and up from the puck drop in the first game. Made it to the playoffs in our little brackets. I had them at least going past LA in 7 games. And that was only because LA was a little bit older, a little bit just battle weared, and I just thought Vegas' speed and skill were gonna persevere in that round. And so I picked them to win, so I wasn't totally shocked when they won. I was shocked that they swept Vegas or LA. I'm not sure anybody saw that coming. Getting on to San Jose, that's where I thought they're going to run into some problems. San Jose has a pretty good top 6. Defense is pretty good, so I thought, you know what, this is probably the team that's going to kind of give them some fits, and I thought they were going to bow out. And even then, they still had the best season in expansion team history, except for maybe the Blues in '67 when they actually went to the finals and lost. But they made pretty good work of San Jose going 6. And then I was like, boy, this is something crazy going on right now. And I thought it was a great conference final matchup between them and Winnipeg. I expected that series to go to 7 games, and it did. It went 5. And so this Vegas team is dangerous and deadly. They've got a lot of speed and a lot of skill with the outbreak of Carlson, and Tuck now has done a great job in the playoffs. James Neal has always been there. So it's just really something special. And Marc-Andre Fleury has played out of his brains this playoffs, 4 shutouts, and you usually ride the wave of momentum. And sure, Vegas hasn't. I think they've won 10 of their games by 2 goals or less. I think the most of any team in the playoffs, which some people look at that and go, okay, so they just score enough. I look at it as they could score 2 goals and they could probably win because they got such a great goalie. So, I mean, it goes from the offense all the way down to Fleury.
Yeah. I mean, they did that in the LA series. The LA series, it was 1-0, 2-0. LA couldn't score for anything.
Yeah, it wasn't like they blew them out of the water. They just scored enough, and then Fleury just was standing on his head the whole series. Every series, he's done that. With the tragedy thing there, that plays into effect of it. Of course, that's a city, and it's a great story, sports line to write. How the city rallies around that and stuff like that. As a Capitals fan, it sucks that we're facing a team like that, because then it's like usually those teams end up winning at all. Really, the only other example that I can kind of look at is, unfortunately, the Bruins. It was a non-natural disaster tragedy. They didn't win it. And then I look back at the 0-1 Yankees after 9/11. They went to the World Series, but they lost in 7 to Arizona. So I look at that and I'm like, all right, maybe somewhat history's on our side. It wasn't a natural disaster. It was a tragedy that happened. So maybe some luck is on our side. We'll see. But this team is so dangerous, though, like I said. And then, you know, I don't want to say that Vegas has had an easy road. They've just made easy work. 5 games, 4 games, 6 games. So they've had only, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 games they played in this whole playoffs, and we've played 7, 13, 20 games. So we're battle tested. We're a little bit worn down. I think that 5-day break really helped us between Wednesday and until tonight. My thing is Vegas going to be any rusty? Are they going to be a little flat-footed because they haven't played, or are they going to be fresh, ready to go, ready to pounce? And by game 4, game 3, we're going to be so worn down because we played so physically. And I think that we played tougher teams than them.
Absolutely.
San Jose is a great team. Winnipeg is a good team, but they're both not the caliber of a Tampa Bay, and especially the back-to-back defending Stanley Cup champions with the Penguins. So I think we've had a tougher road and have really, really earned our way to this, whereas Vegas is just, like I said, I don't want to discredit any of the teams that they face. On paper, you look at it, we had a much tougher road getting there.
All right, so we're going to end it. This game starts in about 7 minutes, so we'll talk, say your one key for whoever you think wins, say who you think will win, and who the Conn Smythe will go to.
So for Vegas, it's a 2-part full. I'm gonna do something one team needs to do versus the other team needs to work on. For us, Capitals, we have got to improve on our penalty kill. Penalty kill has not been very good this season, especially against Tampa Bay. They kind of destroyed us on that. The past 2 games, we did really well against it. But, if we take penalties and they score quick, we're going to be in the hole. And, you never want to dig yourself in a hole every game. Can Vegas pounce on their power play? It's not been the greatest this postseason. It's been okay, but knowing how Washington's PK is, they kind of really focus on just getting man advantages and trying to capitalize on those power plays. For Washington, if it worked against Pittsburgh, if it worked against Tampa Bay, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Keep being as physical as possible. Wear out their speed, wear out their defense. Play a great trap defense, play a great neutral zone. Don't turn it over the pucks as much. Score on your opportunities. Be resilient like we have all year. And the biggest thing, I think, is 2 biggest things. 2 more is home ice. Vegas has been great on home ice this year. I think they've only lost twice on home ice, whereas we're 4-5. So we've not been good at home at all this postseason. We've done our damage on the road when we need to, and we've won every series on the road. So in a way, it's kind of a dangerous road team coming against a very good, very dangerous home team. So we'll see how that plays out. And then obviously it's going to come down to the goalies, Holtby versus Fleury. Fleury's had our number for plenty of years. He's had Holtby's number for plenty of years. So will this year finally be the year that we kind of reverse that role and we own Fleury? We kind of beat him, take home the cup, or will Fleury take home, I think, his 4th cup and 3rd straight since he was on Pittsburgh's roster last year. Conn Smythe, if it's Vegas that wins, it has to be nobody but Fleury. I don't think you can really give it to anybody else but Fleury. For Washington, you could say it could be Holtby, but I honestly think it would be either much I want to say Ovechkin, but it's either going to be Kuznetsov or Backstrom. And Kuznetsov's been so great for us this postseason. That'd be right. He would be Conn Smythe to just begin by getting so many points and so many critical moments for us. Backstrom came back from a pretty nasty injury, missed 4 games or so, and has come back and has really elevated his game the past 3 games. And he could be a star player in this series, the key player for us to create some great scoring chances on the power play. He's lethal, so that could be it for us. Prediction, like I said, ultimately it's going to come down to how physical we can be versus Vegas' speed. And I think that we can win a couple on the road. We got a good chance. Vegas has just been unstoppable. It seems like both on the road, and they've been a really good road team and home team as well. So I'm gonna go Vegas in 7.
All right. So for me, I think the biggest key for um, Vegas will be control tempo. If they can control the tempo, it's over. Um, your defense isn't horrible. In fact, it's probably one of the top playoff team defenses. But Orvic's getting old. He likes to take penalties too. Eller likes to take penalties. I know he's not a defender, but I also think for the Capitals. So I'm not really focused on Vegas because we all know what they can bring. They play the same every series. So, but for the Capitals, when does Burakovsky show up? Does he show up? Because he showed up the last 2 games in Tampa, and y'all played really, really well. This Eller and Orpik, take unnecessary penalties that lead to goals like it did in Tampa. Or do you guys play I mean, because there's a fine line between playing physical and playing undisciplined, and
Absolutely.
So, but I think the biggest key, you've already said it, is it comes down to goaltending. I think if there's an offensive team that can take the hand out of their goalie, it could be Vegas. But it's great to have a goalie who can stop everything, so you don't have to score more than 2 goals a game. So I think while Fleury is sort of he's proven himself as a Stanley Cup goaltender, as a playoff goaltender. Holtby, being his first time in this situation, how does he respond to it? Holtby's a really good goalie. I'm not going to take anything away from him. I also think the play of Ovechkin is going to, if he can get himself involved, it doesn't have to be scoring wise, but showing leadership in some way, setting people up, making good plays, because he doesn't have to score. They're going to always draw to him anyway. And he's played, I think, probably his best playoffs of his career.
Far best.
And so to end it real quick, my prediction, I also agree it's going to go 7. I'm going to pick the Capitals in 7 though. But here's where my thing gets interesting. No matter who wins, I think the Conn Smythe goes to Fleury. It'd probably be one of the only years the losing team would win the Conn Smythe. Fleury's has been unstoppable. Probably his best career playoffs.
I would argue for sure.
Which is hard because he's played a lot of good playoff series.
I think that what happened in him in Pittsburgh has just given him a fire like nothing I've ever seen. So
either way, I think it's going to be a really good series.
Something fresh for once.
Yes. Someone's going to get their first Stanley Cup. It's either going to be Washington or Vegas. One city's going to be burned to the ground when they lose. One's going to
both.
But with that said, it is 8 p.m. Y'all enjoy the Stanley Cup Finals. And we'll see y'all next time.